Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, where I talk to artists and music fans to explore how music connects us through great stories and experiences. Brought to you by the Listening Room Network. Today's guest, Phil Metz. How are you? Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast.
It's awesome to be here, Fran, and I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. It's a beautiful day here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Lots of sun, a little cooler than we like it, but we're getting by here. Are you guys getting the cold wave down there?
I wouldn't consider it cold at all. It's cool. It's nice to be able to open windows. I'm a little farther south than you are,
Yeah.
in Cape Coral, and it's nice to open the windows and doors.
All right. So for listeners who don't know where Cape Coral is, describe it, I guess, in terms of Fort Myers, Naples, where?
It's west. It's west of Fort Myers, and basically in the Gulf. It's the Cape. The only way to get there is from here is I have to go north a little bit and then turn back down. To get on it. But actually there are bridges. But that's what you'd have to do.
Right. Sounds like a really inconvenient place to live unless you really love staying on the peninsula.
Yeah, it's funny. People in Fort Myers think of Cape Coral as somewhere out in the sticks, but it's not. Actually it's the largest city in Florida, I believe.
Really?
Cape Coral, yeah. It's certainly landmass.
Interesting.
It's the largest, yeah.
Interesting. All right. So you're originally from Providence, Rhode Island. Tell me a little bit about your early, I guess, music career. When did you first start picking up? Where were you at the time? And
well, I more than anything, when I was really young, before college, I enjoyed singing. I always loved singing. I grew up listening to the radio in the 60s, mid 60s, and that's when I really began feeling like I could sing. And then from there, I went to Springfield College, which was great. And I picked up the guitar there. It was a young hippie girl sitting under a tree, and I said I want to meet her, and she was playing guitar. And then she was the coolest thing ever. She said, well, I have two. Why don't you take this one? I'll go get my other one, and I'll give you a lesson. And from that point, it was just, I was literally, no exaggeration, 6 hours a day is not an exaggeration. I played guitar. Did that for a long time.
That's a fantastic intro. You meet a woman under a tree. She gives you her guitar while she goes and gets her other one, and then gives you a lesson. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was wonderful.
And so when did you get into, well, first of all, it's from there, what was it, Springfield College? Where was that?
Springfield College in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, okay.
Yep.
And then let's talk about, like, was there a lot of music before you moved to Florida, or where?
Well, once I started playing, I was right there, and the folk revival that was going on. In middle school, I was listening to Dylan and Simon and Garth, everything that was going on there in the mid 60s. I was listening to it. Yeah. And the idea of playing.
Were you too young to go to like the Newport Folk Festival and all that, or did you get to experience that?
Yeah. I'm 70 years old now, but I just didn't know a lot then either. I wasn't, the idea of playing any instrument was just never occurred to me. It never crossed my mind. Like when I asked the girl under the tree, I wasn't thinking of the guitar. I just wanted to meet her. So I lied. I said I've always wanted to learn to play guitar. But it was after that I realized that I could accompany my voice by simply strumming on the guitar, that it blew me away. And I accidentally, I ran into a Taj Mahal. I'd never seen a black man carrying, and this is the truth, I'd never seen a black man with an acoustic guitar in my life. It just wasn't anything. I was listening to the Impressions and Lou Rawls and things like that, in my home when I was growing up. And when I saw Taj Mahal on the album, had a cowboy hat, he's wearing a bandana, leaning on an acoustic guitar, I was blown away. So I picked it up, and that's the style that launched me into what I do now, really. He led me to Mississippi John Hurt, who became a hero. And that's the style I've been playing forever. Everything that I build now at least includes some of that style, that finger style picking.
Yeah, so you definitely went from the strumming to the finger
Yeah,
picking.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Mhm.
Which speaking of finger picking, you've got, I guess you had a little experience with Thom Bresh, who's
Ah, that
one of the
what a story
icons.
for me. Talk about a confidence boost. I was in true story. I don't believe it myself. I was sitting in the Commodore room in Nashville, and I'm just sitting there with a friend of mine. We had actually met. He came down from Massachusetts. I came up from Florida. We met in Nashville and went to an open mic. And I wasn't used to it. I was a little nervous, but I'm sitting there, and the waiter walks by, and I hear him say to someone else, "Thom Bresh is coming in." And I looked at him and I said, "What? Thom Bresh?" He said, "Oh, she comes in here all the time."
Yeah.
And there I am sitting, saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be playing. Thom Bresh is coming in." And when he came in, he got right up on the stage. There was no, they just threw him right up on the stage, and he played. And I couldn't have been more than 10 feet away from him. And he was a hero of mine. I started following him back in the mid 70s, the mid
And
70s.
tell the audience who might not know who Thom Bresh is.
Thom Bresh is Mel Travis's son.
Yeah.
And he's been finger picking forever and just a monster finger picker. So he was even, I've been following, I even learned a couple of his songs that I could have played for him right then and there.
Yeah.
But he got off the stage, and I was on with a group of three others. So, it was a round thing. But when it came to my turn, I was third in line. And when it came to my turn, he's at the door shaking somebody's hand and he's going to walk out the door. And then I started playing an original song of mine. And I'll be darned, he stopped right at the door, folded his arms across his chest like this, and stood there and looked.
Yeah.
And he watched. And, the next thing I know, I finished this applause. I look down, I look up, and he's gone.
Yeah.
It turns out he was in the green room waiting for me. He wanted to shake my hand and tell me that he thought I was good. I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away.
Yeah, what a thrill.
Yeah.
When getting recognized by one of your heroes is
Yeah.
just one of those things.
That was cool.
If you are enjoying this podcast, can you pause for a moment to like, review, and subscribe? Please help the world discover our music community and the wonderful artists we support. Your feedback makes a difference. You and I connected through the Americana Community Music Association.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, how you got involved with them, what you did, and some of your experiences.
My friend Nita Flores, I don't know if you know Nita,
Mm-hmm.
but she's big in the music scene here in the Fort Myers area for a long time. It still is, but she was asked to be on the board of the ACMA, and then she asked me if I would join. And with the idea of being able to, you think of it as the Americana Community Music Association, we were the community piece in a sense, Nita, and that's what she asked me to come in for. And we're trying to decide what kinds of things we could do that would actually benefit the community, other than just exposing them to the wonderful music, which is in and of itself a great thing, exposing people to Americana, making it very available within our community. But from there, we thought, okay, well, maybe we start a singer-songwriter circle. We invite aspiring singer-songwriters to come in and share the craft, talk about the craft, to help people get better and grow in it. And we pushed it a little bit farther by starting Hope by Song, and Hope by Song is an organization that works with really anyone, agencies, individuals who are dealing with great trauma, domestic violence, sexual abuse, PTSD, anything that we're dealing with great trauma. The idea of writing it down is very powerful, getting it out of your head onto paper so that you can manage it. It's like a way of managing it. And then if they wanted us to, we take those writings. This still goes on. We will take their writings. We have right now 3-4 songwriters who are pretty regular. We'll take the writings, make them into songs, record them, and get them to the individual who did the writing. and that grew out of the ACMA as well. I mean, the ACMA is it just. I mean, it's just a wonderful organization. The things that they do for musicians and singer-songwriters in general.
You triggered a memory of mine. Lori from Jennings and Keller, they're
Yeah.
based.
Yeah.
She was teaching songwriting and doing creative stuff in the prison system with inmates, and the theme, I guess, is similar to Hope by Song, where she was allowing them or encouraging them, empowering them to write their story, to share their experience and maybe trauma through art, and to get it out in a healing sort of way. I was fascinated by that. I had no idea that was happening. And I guess you guys are not necessarily working in the prison system, but it's the same type of thing where you're helping people heal through art.
It's amazingly powerful. The things I've seen and I've experienced they're life-changing. They were life-changing for me to see what was going on. I mean, I understood the idea of being able to emote through music. I'm fortunate enough to be able to play guitar and carry a tune. So I know what that's about. There are times when I was walking around, this is when I really understood it, walking around singing the same song over and over and over and over again, and then realizing that I'm giving myself a message, that whatever that song was, without even thinking about it in an unconscious way, giving myself a message about a situation that I'm dealing with by singing a song, bringing up lyrics that relate to what's going on in my life.
And for you this year, one of the more interesting themes, of course, is how people have dealt with the pandemic. And I'm curious, I just love hearing the stories about silver linings. What has there been for you this past year that maybe could not have happened before the pandemic? What sort of creative or personal success or growth have you had in this past year that you could call a silver lining?
Well, to tell you the truth, it has been an expansion of art in general. I've gotten into creating video, and I'm still working on that. It's a long way off to really become what I would call a videographer. But musically, my guitar playing has improved, just because that's what I sit in my room and I play a lot. I also I have two friends who we each feel comfortable with how we're handling the pandemic in terms of social distance and being safe. And the three of us get together, and this is really the first time ever for this too. I've always wanted to be in a string band.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so we have we're working on a string band, and two of the name of it is the long and short of it trio.
Good.
Because I'm 5'1", Bruce is 5'2", but Jim is 6'2".
Okay.
So we call ourselves the long and short of it, and basically we just do Americana and are having a really good time. We hope someday we'll get to frequent or to do some of the festivals around Florida.
And what's the instrumentation in this trio?
Oh my gosh, Bruce plays guitar. Bruce is an amazing songwriter. His name is Bruce Gallant. Great songwriter, prolific. Closest would be, it's hard to explain what exactly he writes because he goes all genres.
Yeah.
But Bruce is a great songwriter. He plays the bass and guitar. And Jim Visoni, he was back in Greenwich Village when people were like Dylan and the Christy Minstrels and all those folks were floating around in the village. He was right there in the midst of it. So Jim Visoni, he plays a 5-string banjo and he plays the guitar, and he sings like Burl Ives. He has a voice like Burl Ives. Nice. I just love playing with this guy. And then I have a 6-string banjo, a 5-string. I play mandolin enough to carry myself through. I play bass, so we end up swapping around along with the guitar, and we end up swapping around while we're on stage.
That's cool. I don't think I've ever seen a 6-string banjo. Is that it? I'm assuming there's still just one drone string, right?
Well, no, it's actually made to be strung like a guitar.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there are it's just like they're just thinner, and they're generally nickel coated, the strings. But most people who use them, not most, I can't say that, but it's common to take that low E string off and put on another high E string. So yes, you do have that drone. That's what I've done
Okay.
in mine,
Cool.
and it sounds like a banjo, but then I can play it exactly the same way I play guitar.
I see. Yeah, Daniel Bowling has something he calls a banjolele or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a 6-string
Hmm.
hybrid of those two or whatever. But yeah, there's so many cool instruments
Yeah.
being developed now. Well, Bill, so what are you working on now before we wrap up? Like, are you doing some recording or?
But yeah, I've been my goal. So I've with my songwriting has always been to produce, CDs, and I'll add, bass and blah blah blah. I think my next project is to do all of my original songs strictly acoustically and record them that way, because that's how they were written.
Yeah.
Acoustically, and no harmonica, no bass, no nothing, just me and my guitar. And that's my next project in terms of my music recording.
Great. Well, it's great to get to know you a little bit. I'll be linking to your websites, Bandcamp, and whatever else you have in the show notes. And I hope we get to reconnect once the pandemic's over, and maybe we'll meet up at a show at the Americana Community Music Association.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Take care, Bill.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Please subscribe, like, or share to help your friends discover this community. Also, I'd love to hear from you with any feedback or suggestions you have. And if you'd like to learn more about house concerts and listening rooms around the world, please visit and join listeningroomnetwork.com. You can email me from there. See you next time on the Fran Snyder Podcast.